Welcome to this free immigration help channel. In this video I'll show you how to renew your employment authorization document. Now I have done a video on how to apply for a new employment authorization document quite some time ago, so I wanted to make a renewal video in case if you are now renewing it, and also show the updated process because I'm pretty sure a lot of things changed since then. So as always, as you guys can see, I have USCIS.gov, official website for US Citizenship and Immigration Services, open in front of me. All the information that I provide in these videos are always from this website and really nothing else, because this is really the official information and you don't want to get your information from somewhere else. Just in case, keep in mind sometimes things get updated, so whatever you see in this video, make sure to double check it on the official website. Okay, so in order to renew your employment authorization document, we're gonna go to forms. This is most of the times a starting point to all of our videos here, all forms, and we're gonna find a form number, let's see if I can remember that, I-765. I'm pretty sure it's I-765. Let's see, I-765. All right, I remember this one. Okay, so we're gonna open that up, and as you can see, there is an option to file it online, and I'm gonna tell you a difference between the filing online and filing paper application in a little bit. Whenever you open the form, you will see all of these alerts. Most likely, most of the times, they have these alerts here. Read through them just in case, because all these alerts, they have to do with basically the applications for the employment authorization document. For example, as of April 1st, 2022, we will no longer accept a single combined fee payment for the filing of Form I-539, that's the application to extend change non-immigrant status, Form I-765 application for employment authorization, or Form I-824 application for action on approved application or petition. So what that means is, now if you are filing these applications together, for example this change of status, right, and the application to renew your employment authorization document I-765, now you no longer can combine two fees for both applications and send one check. You cannot do that anymore. See, that is a very, very important information, because you don't want to overlook something like that. Send it together and then your application is sent back to you because you made a mistake. You don't want to do that. And that brings me to the point about filing online versus filing the paper application. Yes, you can still file a paper application. It is available here, and in fact in this video that's where I will be showing you, because it's exactly the same as online. But whenever you file your application online, there is really not much room to make a mistake. All the fields that are required to fill out, you will have to fill out, or you won't be able to move past it. In order to submit the application, you will have to make the payment, and the payment will be there. It's not like you get your blank check and fill out whatever number and all that information you have to figure out. All of that is already in the online application, so it's really hard to make a mistake. That's reason number one. Reason number two why you want to file an online application is because once you hit the submit, once you submit that payment, that's it. Your application is already where it is supposed to be, compared to the paper application that you have to mail to the PO box. Then the immigration officer takes it from the PO box, reviews it, right? So there are way more steps that are involved in paper application. So if you can, do it online. It's really not that hard. If you have problem with computers, technology, just ask somebody who's, tech savvy, although you don't really need to be tech savvy to file it. But if you are uncomfortable to do that, find someone, ask someone to help you with that, and I will show you further in the application process. You can add that person, the preparer, whoever was filling out application, if that was the case. Okay, let's cover a few things really quick. This is not a free application. There is a filing fee for it, and currently it is $410. That is just the application fee, but there's also an $85 biometric fee. Now, the biometric fee is the fee that you submit for your fingerprinting, your picture taking, all of that sort of stuff. Once you submit your application, once it is accepted, once it is in the process, USCIS will schedule a biometric appointment for you. They will send you a special form that will tell you where to go, when, and at what time. You show up at the application center, you do the fingerprinting, you do the picture. Obviously, whoever is going to be there, they will help you do all of that. And that's a part of application, and that costs $85. Now, these two fees you can pay together. If you are paying, if you're sending the paper application, you can combine them together and send one check for $495. There are some exceptions where you do not need to pay that biometric fee. Here they are. You can read them here in the filing fee. Okay. Also here you can find the required initial evidence checklist here as well. Now, a very neat thing about online applications is whenever you're filling out the online application, again, it tells you specifically what you need to upload right now, and sometimes you just don't even need to upload anything. You just submit the application, and then USCIS tells you, okay, now this is the stuff that you need to upload. Very simple, so you don't have to go through all this trying to find your, let's say, for example, who's going to be our example again? John Doe with the asylum application, pending asylum. Let's see, there's an asylee here. Let's see if there's pending asylum, because that would be an interesting one. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it this way. Asylum. Boom. Pending applicant for so there you go. Pending applicant for asylum and withholding of deportation and removal. So this is all the, you see, this is all the evidence that you need to be prepared to provide if you're applying for your EAD. Okay, so now we got that all covered. Obviously, for paper application, you will need to know the address, where to send it. Here it is, where to file. You can file all of this stuff here in this address. Again, depending what status based on you are sending your application, you will have different addresses, and obviously you will have to find them here. Okay, so let's go back to the application itself. As you can see, there's a form itself, there's a worksheet, and there are instructions. So I'm gonna work off the form itself, form I-765, and I'm also gonna open up the instructions, because I want to kind of introduce you to instructions itself, where it's right here. This is the instructions. So before filing the application, whether you're doing it online, whether you were sending it with, paper application, before even filling it out, I highly recommend going through these instructions, just reading through it. Now, I'm not gonna go, obviously, in this video throughout the whole thing. Doesn't really make sense, but go through it just so that you are very, very familiar with the process. But let's get into the application. Now, obviously, this is a paper application. It's going to look a little bit different from your online application, but the information that is going to be asked from you in your online application is going to be exactly the same, so you can follow this video as you're filling out your online application. So let's start from the very beginning. We got the section that we are not touching. This is for the immigration officer, so we're starting in the part 1, reason for applying. Obviously, so if you're applying for a brand new employment authorization document, obviously this is going to be your initial permission, all right, to work in the United States. Obviously, in this video, because we are doing the renewal, we're going to select this, select that. It's going to be replacement. Actually, no, never mind, this is lost, stolen. This is going to be our renewal of my permission to accept employment. Yes, employment authorization document gives you permission to work in the United States of America. It is often overlooked, this document, and I would say it's probably one of the most important documents, even more important than your asylum, than your refugee status, because I mean those are very, very important, more like status, right? But employment authorization document is something that you need in order to legally work in the United States of America. And obviously, depending whether it's an immigrant status or non-immigrant status, if you don't have employment authorization document, then you can't really work in the United States. You can't get the Social Security. You can't do any of these things, which are obviously very, very, important, because they, if you have pending asylum, for example, and obviously you're here, you can't leave the country. It's important to work in order to support yourself, support your family. Okay, so in this case, we're doing the renewal. Moving on, part 2, information about you, straightforward. It's going to be our John Doe, as always. No, this is first name John and last name Doe. Now, if you are filling out online application, you don't need to worry about that. But if you are filling out the paper application, make sure you don't leave any blank spaces. Very, very important. So if you don't have a middle name, for example, like our John Doe, just put NA, not applicable. Don't leave blank spaces. Very, very important. I have seen way too many times paper applications being returned to the petitioner because there was a blank space. It's not a denial, anything like that. Basically, USCIS just tells you, hey, put NA or none in all of these empty spaces and then send it back. Not a big deal, but it's a huge delay because you're sending the application, it's sent back, you're fixing it, then you're sending it again. You're wasting a lot of time, so don't waste no time. Other names used, obviously here, if you never had any other names, not applicable, not applicable, not applicable. You get the point. So you don't want this. I didn't copy the whole thing, but you get the point. Don't leave any blank spaces. All right, moving on. Information about you, still continuing. Your U.S. mailing address, so your address here in the U.S., your physical address where you live. Now, the difference between mailing and physical address, if you don't know, mailing address is where you get your mail. Physical address is where you actually live. Now, most of the times, both of these is going to be the same, but just in case, keep that in mind. All right, once we're done with the address, again, don't leave any blank spaces. Moving on to other information. Very important information here. Alien registration number. Now, if you are in some kind of immigration process, if you're in immigration proceedings, you're going to have that alien registration number. Put it here. USCIS online account number. Now, sometimes when you create the online account with USCIS, and you will have to do that if you are filing this form online, it will give you the account number. Now, I've seen a lot of times where it does not. You just get it in the email and you have that account number. If you got it, put it in. If you didn't get it, not a big deal. Because I've seen a lot of people create the account and they never got the account number. I don't know why. Some people get it, some people don't. But if you didn't get it, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Obviously. Gender, marital status. Have you previously filed Form 765? Obviously, we are renewing in our case. So it's going to be yes. Has the Social Security Administration ever officially issued a Social Security card? Again, obviously, if you were renewing, then most likely you already had employment authorization document and you already went and got your Social Security number. So we're going to put yes. Here you're going to put your Social Security number. If you have that, if you're filing for a new one, you probably don't have it yet, but you get the point. Do you want the SSA to issue you a Social Security card? So if you don't have the card yet, which if you're renewing, you probably already do. But if you don't, then you say yes. If you do, then you say no. In our case, it's going to be no. Consent for disclosure. All right, so that's your consent for disclosure. Moving on, father's name, mother's name, just personal identifying information. Your country or countries of citizenship or nationality. So it's going to be if there are more than one country of citizenship that you have, you put it here. If you don't, you don't. So obviously, if just one, then you put one, whatever. John Doe is from Brazil, and there is no other second country of citizenship, so we're gonna put not applicable because no blank spaces. Moving on, still information about you, place of birth, date of birth, country of birth, date of birth, same thing. If you don't have like a state in your country or whatever, not applicable. All right, very simple. Don't leave blank spaces. Information about your last arrival in the United States. Okay, now this one kind of tricky because a lot of people, I get a lot of questions about that. Is they have a problem retrieving their I-94. Now I have done the most recent updated video on how to obtain that I-94 arrival departure record, which before you used to get it was called white card. You would get it in the passport attached with the number, with the date when you have to leave the United States or how long you can stay in the United States. Now they don't do that anymore. They issue it electronically, and unfortunately electronically a lot of them are getting lost because they're very sensitive. If there's one mistake somewhere in whatever, and obviously people coming from different countries, they have unique names, let's just say that. So it's very easy to make a mistake in a name that you never heard before, and a lot of that happens, and as a result, people are not able to retrieve their arrival departure record online. Now, if you're not able to do that, don't worry about it. It's not that big of a deal, okay? You can put here, I've seen people put, like, for example, if you don't know, let's say, okay, so obviously this record number, hopefully you will be able to obtain. If not, just put unknown, all right, and hopefully that works. But it's still better to file the application than not file it because you don't know your arrival departure record. Just keep that in mind. Obviously, you're gonna know your passport number, you're gonna know your travel document number if you have that, where it was issued, all of that sort of identifying information. So there will still be identifying information that is sufficient enough for an immigration officer to make their decision and be like, okay, so this really is the person that is claiming the EAD. Okay, so now we're done with that. Your last arrival, immigrant status on your last arrival, your current immigration status or category. So again, for example, you see B2, visitor, F1, student, your current status, or for example, pending asylum, right? And student and exchange visitor information system, CVIS, if you have that. If you don't, just put not applicable. Now, this is the important one, the eligibility category, as you can see here. Now, this is where you'll have to refer to who may file for I-765 section. And basically, this is where you specify on which grounds you are asking for your employment authorization document, if you're applying for a new one or if you are getting a renewal. And this information you can find in the instructions. And we're gonna try to scroll down to it so you can see. Okay, there you go. So these are your who may file the form I-765, and as you can see, there are a bunch of different categories, and we're gonna try to find our pending asylum. Let's see. So we got refugee and refugee A3, parole as refugee, asylee, but that's already granted withholding of deportation, pending asylum. There you go. So pending asylum and withholding of removal is C8. So here it's gonna be C8. All right. So hopefully this kind of explains you the idea behind this eligibility category. Now moving on, degree. If you have a degree, employment name as listed, E-Verify. Again, sometimes it might be applicable, sometimes it might be not applicable. If it's not, just say not applicable. Again, here it might not be applicable. Now this was E-Verify. It might be applicable most of the times when you are an non-immigrant worker. So you came here, you're not immigrating to the United States of America, you just have a visa that allows you to work in the United States, and obviously most of the time, not most of us, probably all the time, you have the visa that allows you to work if there is a company that is sponsoring you here in the United States of America. Okay, so moving on further, this is C8, so this is applicable to us, eligibility. If you entered the eligibility category C8, which we did, provide the information requested in item number 38 to 30G. Okay, so this is for us because we are in this example pending asylum. John Doe is pending asylum, and that's why he already had an EAD. Now he's just renewing it, but he's still in pending asylum. So, have you ever been arrested? Well, you answer these questions as truthfully as you can. All right, so no. Did you ever enter the United States lawfully through the port of entry? Yes, hopefully. I think that should be through a U.S. port of entry. And were you inspected and admitted or paroled after inspection by an immigrant officer? Okay, no, that's no. If you answer no, wait, actually yes. Did you present yourself to the Secretary of Homeland? No. Information. Okay, so that's done. Let's cap just a few questions. Not a big deal. So moving on to the part 2, still information about you. Date you presented yourself to the Department of Homeland Security. Location where you presented yourself to the Department of Homeland Security. Country of claimed persecution. Now that is whenever it comes to the pending asylum. Again, that's still up. All this stuff is still if you mention the C8 category. So here you will put the date where you filed your asylum application, location where you filed your asylum application, country of claimed persecution is the country where you're running away from basically, and a little bit of provide an explanation for why you did not enter the United States lawfully through a U.S. port of entry if you need an extra space. So hopefully in this case it's just going to be not applicable because you did enter lawfully into the United States. Okay, so moving on further. So this is the C5 and C6 eligibility. Obviously not applicable in our case, but if it does you, make sure to read through it. And that's it. The next thing is the applicant statement, contact information, and declaration with the signature. So you're just stating if you can read English and understand it, you do that. If you can't, then there was an interpreter. You put their name here, your phone number, your cell phone number, your email, and then the signature right here. You can't put it in the paper. You can put the signature obviously in the paper application, so you will have to print it out and then fill it out yourself. Some of the fields you might encounter, like for example this one, you see you can't type into this field, so you can only type in the gray fields, not the white ones. So if that's the case, not a big deal, just kind of leave a note somewhere that you need to fill it out, print it out, and then fill it out by hand. It's not a big deal. Just don't forget to fill it out. Very, very important. And that's really it. Once you're done with it, you print it out, you sign everything, and then you will find your where to file you find the address where to file that, and prepare the check, all that, payment, send it in. Typically the processing for these employment authorization document applications, especially if it's renewal is faster than getting the new one. So with the renewal, typically on a good day, right, it takes about 4 weeks processing, and then you probably about another 2 weeks before you actually get the card. So within 4 weeks your application is reviewed and hopefully approved, and within the other next 2 weeks your card is being printed and sent to you and you get it. So it's very straightforward, but keep in mind right now immigration, they are a little bit overloaded and they seem to have delays on a lot of applications. So if it takes longer than that, just I've done a video on how to check your case status online, where to find the normal processing times, and what to do if your application is outside of the processing times. I've did video on every single separate one of those issues. So if that's the case, check those videos out and hopefully they will be helpful, and hopefully this video was helpful to you. If it was, let me know in the comments below, and if you have any questions you can also ask them in the comments below, and sometimes I actually do videos where I go through all of the comments questions and just answer them one by one. So if you are not subscribed to this channel, please do, so that you don't miss those question answering videos. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this was helpful. I'll see you guys in the next video.